Hi, everyone. My name's Josh, and I am so excited to welcome you to the annual Underlined Buzz Panel, where we will share all the best new YA titles coming from Underlined this fall. We've got some great new fantasy, sci-fi, and thrillers in store for you, but before we jump into that, I'm going to kick it to Natalie to share some of the awesome YA releasing this summer.
Thanks, Josh. And hi, everyone. I'm Natalie from Team Underlined, and I am so thrilled to be here to talk to you about some of our books that are coming out this summer that we are really excited about. So the first up, I have That Weekend by Kara Thomas. So picture this: 3 best friends, a lake house, and a secret trip. What could possibly go wrong? Well, it turns out everything could go wrong. Kara Thomas is the author of The Cheerleaders, and she is back with another page-turning thriller that is going to keep you on the edge of your seat to the very end. If you like psychological thrillers by people like Megan Abbott and Megan Miranda, and books like One of Us is Lying, or A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, you are going to eat That Weekend up. There are so many twists and turns and shivery secrets in That Weekend, and you are never going to guess the ending. So in That Weekend, Claire was supposed to have the perfect prom weekend getaway, but it's clear something terrible has happened when she wakes up alone and bloodied on a hiking trail with no memory of the past 48 hours. Now everyone wants answers, most of all Claire. She remembers Friday night, but after that, nothing. And now Kat and Jessie, her 2 best friends, are missing as well. So what happened on the mountain, and where are Kat and Jessie? Claire knows that the answers are buried somewhere deep in her memory, but as she's learning, everyone has secrets, even her best friends. And she's pretty sure she is not going to like what she remembers. The next book that I want to talk about is Stranger Things, Rebel Robin by A.R. Capetta. So if you are like me, you instantly fell in love with Stranger Things when it came out on Netflix a few years ago. I have obsessively watched all of the seasons, and I'm particularly in love with Robin, who's played by Maya Hawke, a sarcastic, snarky, and absolutely hilarious character that was introduced in season 3. Her character arc and story is just easily one of my favorites in the show. And so if you're like me and want even more of Robin, you should read Rebel Robin, which is an original prequel about Robin's backstory, and has lots of references to all of our other favorite Stranger Things characters. In the book, it's the beginning of Robin's sophomore year, and she and her Odd Squad friends decided that they are going to fit in. They're not going to stop talking about college or their future careers, and are obsessed with trying to act normal. Robin knows how to play the game, but there's one aspect of her identity she knows doesn't fit in with her carefully controlled image. Robin likes girls. So how exactly is she supposed to be her true self in teeny tiny Hawkins, Indiana? And more big news, once you are finished with Rebel Robin, Netflix is also launching an original 6-episode podcast series called Rebel Robin Surviving Hawkins, which is going to be a companion to this book. The podcast is written and directed by Lauren Shippen, and Maya Hawke will be joining as Robin Buckley, and Sean Mayer of Firefly fame will join as her teacher, Mr. Hauser. So the next book that I'm going to talk about is 6 Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. It's a brand new fantasy series that you just have to read this summer. You might know Elizabeth. She is a New York Times bestselling author who's written books like Spin the Dawn, Unravel the Dusk, and Reflection, A Twisted Tale. And so I'm so thrilled that she is back with 6 Crimson Cranes. 6 Crimson Cranes is a lush, magical, thrilling fantasy adventure set in a fictionalized Japan. I loved the unique blend of East Asian folklore and Hans Christian Andersen fairy tales. It also has one of the best love stories that I've read this summer. By the end of it, the anticipation was killing me. So this story follows Shiori, the only princess of Kayada, who has a deadly secret. She has forbidden magic running through her veins. Normally, she can conceal her powers, but on the morning of her betrothal ceremony, she loses control. And to her luck, her stepmother sees and the magic catches her attention. Shiori's stepmother, a sorceress in her own right, banishes Shiori and curses her 6 brothers by turning them into cranes. Now, Shiori can't speak to anyone. For every word that she speaks, one of her brothers will die. Penniless, voiceless, and alone, Shiori embarks on a journey to find her brothers, break the curse, and uncover a dark conspiracy to seize the throne. And to do so, she must put her trust in a magical paper bird, a shape-shifting dragon, and the boy that she fought so hard not to marry. So if you like authors like Leigh Bardugo and Tomi Adeyemi, you are going to be obsessed with 6 Crimson Cranes and Elizabeth Lim. And when you get to the end, don't worry too much. There will be a sequel coming soon. So the next book that I have to talk about is Small Favors by Erin A. Craig. Erin Craig is the New York Times bestselling author of House of Salt and Sorrows, and Small Favors is her next book. It's a new world, new characters with the same writing we know and love from Erin. Small Favors is a dark, haunting, eerie gothic fantasy that you are just not going to be able to put down. If you like dark fairy tale retellings, and if you like books like the Caraval series, the Hazelwood, and the Wicked Deep, you are going to love Small Favors. It's super creepy in all of the best ways possible. So this book follows Ellery Downing, who lives in the isolated town of Amity Falls. Amity Falls is surrounded by an impenetrable forest, and Ellery lives her days there tending to her family's beehives, chasing her sisters, and dreaming bigger dreams while her twin Samuel is free to roam as he wishes. Early town settlers in Amity Falls fought off monstrous creatures in the woods, and whispers that the creatures still exist keep the Downings and their neighbors from venturing too far out. So when some townsfolk go missing on a trip to fetch supplies, a heavy unease settles over the falls. Strange activities begin to plague the town, and as the seasons change, it's clear that something is terribly wrong. The creatures are real, and they're offering to fill residents' deepest desires, however grand, just for a small favor. Soon, Ellery finds herself in a race against time to stop Amity Falls, her family, and the boy that she loves from going up in flames. This book is equally mesmerizing as it is chilling, and I'm so excited for you to be able to read it on July 27th. So last but not least, we have A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee. And so Victoria Lee is the author of The Fever King and the Electric Air, and A Lesson in Vengeance is their next book. A Lesson in Vengeance is a gothic sapphic thriller that is the epitome of dark academia. It's about a boarding school with a haunted past and 2 girls who are dangerously close to digging up its history of witchcraft. You are going to stay up all night reading this book, and you will not believe the surprise at the very end. This book is about female desire and complicated friendships and love. It's about violence, queerness, and ambition. So make sure that someone else is close by also reading this book, because you are going to want to talk to someone about it when you are done. I did not have that, and I deeply regret it. So what is this book about? A Lesson in Vengeance follows Felicity Morrow, who's coming back to the Dalloway school to finish her senior year after the tragic death of her girlfriend. Felicity used to be drawn to the Dalloway school's dark legacy of witchcraft. Rumor has it that her dorm is haunted by the spirits of 5 Dalloway students who were said to be witches. But now Felicity is determined to leave all of that behind. But it's hard to do so with Ellis Haley now in the picture. This is Ellis's first year at Dalloway, and she's eccentric and brilliant, and Felicity can't help but be drawn to her. So when Ellis reaches out and asks Felicity for her help researching the Dalloway 5, Felicity can't say no. And when history begins to repeat itself, she will have to face the darkness in Dalloway and in herself. This book comes out on August 3rd, so make sure you get it into your hands as soon as possible. You are not going to regret it. And with that, I will kick it over to Caitlin, who is going to give you a first look at some of our brand new mysteries and thrillers that are coming out this fall.
Thanks, Natalie. My name is Caitlin, and I have an incredible lineup of mysteries and thrillers in store for y'all. And I won't keep you on the edge of your seats. Let's go ahead and dive right in. First up, I'm thrilled to tell you about That Weekend, the new must-read thriller from Kara Thomas, the author of The Cheerleaders, available wherever books are sold right now. You see, it was supposed to be the perfect prom weekend getaway, and instead of heading to the big after parties with their classmates, Claire, Kat, and Jesse, Kat's boyfriend, decide to sneak up to Kat's grandmother's mountain house. Sounds fun, right? Like absolutely nothing could go wrong, except that Claire wakes up alone and bloodied on a hiking trail with no memory of the past 48 hours. She remembers Friday night, but nothing after that. And worst of all, Kat and Jesse are missing. Long story short, 3 went up that mountain, but only 1 came back, and she has no idea what happened. I absolutely loved this read and the way Kara Thomas strategically dropped breadcrumbs as Claire strained to regain her memory. She kept me guessing, and the stakes just kept getting higher. It is the perfect summer beach read if you're looking for something totally shocking and massively entertaining. And this one is especially for fans of We Were Liars, Sadie, and A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Go ahead and get your hands on this one, y'all. Next up is Lives Like Wildfire by Jennifer Lynn Alvarez, and this one goes on sale September 7th and explores the consequences a simple accident can unleash on our lives and the lives of others. In Gap Mountain, California, everyone knows about fire season, and no one is more vigilant than 18-year-old Hannah Warner, the sheriff's daughter and aspiring FBI agent. That is, until this summer, when Hannah and her best friends accidentally spark an enormous and deadly wildfire. Their instinct is to lie to the police and the fire investigators. But as the blaze roars through their rural town and towards Yosemite National Park, Hannah's friends begin to crack, and she finds herself going to extreme lengths to protect their secret. And when I say extreme, I really mean extreme. The incredible thing about this novel is that Jennifer is no stranger to the very real-world dangers of wildfires. After writing her first draft of this novel in October 2019, a Nixle alert pinged on her phone, informing her that a massive fire had started and it was headed directly for her home. She packed up her kids, horses, and pets and evacuated along with 200,000 other people. The Kincaid fire burned for 13 days and incinerated 77,000 acres. Thanks to the 300 fire departments that banded together from around the nation, no lives were lost and her home and town were saved. With her personal experiences and intensive research, Jennifer demonstrates the true power of a thriller. Yes, they keep us in suspense and entertain us, and we love them, but they can also have the power to really educate us. Not only is Lives Like Wildfire a high-stakes, intense survival thriller, but it is also an in-depth look at the destruction of wildfires and the heroes who battle them. I really cannot recommend this one enough, you guys. Go ahead and pre-order it today. You will not be disappointed. Next up, we have the finale to the instant #1 New York Times bestselling series, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by the incredible Holly Jackson. Y'all, Pip, the main character here, she's been through it. And even though this is the finale, she's going to go through a lot more before you get to the last page. At the start of As Good as Dead, Pip is about to head to college, but she's still haunted by the way her last investigation ended in Book 2, Good Girl, Bad Blood. And she's used to online death threats in the wake of her virtual true crime podcast. but she can't help noticing an anonymous person who keeps asking her the weird question, who will look for you when you're the one who disappears? Anyone else getting chills out there? Soon the threats escalate and Pip realizes that someone is following her in real life. When she starts to find connections between her stalker and a local serial killer caught 6 years ago, she wonders if maybe the wrong man is behind bars. But police refuse to act, so Pip has only one choice: find the suspect herself or be the next victim. As the deadly game plays out, Pip discovers that everything in her small town is coming full circle, and if she doesn't find the answers, this time she will be the one who disappears. I'm just gonna let that one sit for a second because, oh my goodness, I mean, wow. Is this everything and more you could have asked for? Holly Jackson, you are a true genius. And also just a little pro tip for the super fans out there. If you check out getunderlined.com, you just might find details on how to get the coolest gift with pre-order purchase when you pre-order your copy of As Good as Dead, Pip's detective kit. It includes an invisible ink pen and detective notepad, and we just might be announcing one more bonus prize in a couple of months. So if you submit your proof of pre-order now, you'll also automatically get that third prize too. So go ahead and get to it, you guys. Now, my next question for you is, can it really be a Comic-Con buzz panel if we don't have any graphic novels? The answer is no. And thank goodness I have 2 stellar graphic novels to buzz for you right now. First up is Tara O'Connor's mystery environmental thriller graphic novel, Fly By Night. This story is about Dee, who is desperately searching for her sister who has gone missing. But while she's searching the woods from top to bottom, she discovers that something just isn't quite right. As time goes on, the only thing Dee knows for sure is that there are monsters in these woods, but they aren't the ones we should be afraid of. I don't want to say too much more here because I really don't want to give away any spoilers and mess up this mystery for you guys. But I will say that I am such a fangirl for Dee's story. She's searching for her sister, battling to save the Pinelands, and coming through in gorgeous color on the page. And a few things to know about her talented creator, Tara. She's been drawing since before she can remember, and she's been drawing comics since she was about 14. And on any given day, there's a 90% chance that every meal is cereal, which is incredibly relatable. And she is the perfect author to add to your fall TBRs with Fly By Night, which goes on sale October 12th. Now over to our second graphic novel. The Montague Twins #2, The Devil's Music, is a high-volume mystery ready to rock your world. As the sequel to the first book in the series, Alistair, Pete, Charlie, and Rachel aren't just magical teen detectives in their coastal town of Port Howell, they are also members of a local teen rock band. Before a show one night, Charlie and Rachel meet a famous rock star, Gideon, and invite him to their show. Any book with the name Gideon, I'm in, fascinated. He'll never come, but why not try, right? You gotta shoot your shot, people. Little do they know, Gideon shows up and he brings the threads of his dark past with him. In fact, he might even be the source of the rumored Devil's Music, a limited release song that entrances all of its listeners into a deadly hypnosis. When Pete quickly gets drawn into Gideon's web, it's up to his brother and friends to save him. But Pete might not be the only Montague twin at risk for Gideon's spell. Guys, we've got magic, music, mayhem, and murder. What else could you ask for? This novel is brought to us by Canadian writer and illustrator duo Nathan Page and Drew Shannon. Nathan began writing and performing at an early age, and in addition to writing this series, he's a therapist for children who have autism. Drew's work has appeared in the Globe and Mail, the Washington Post, NPR, and all kinds of other places, and he's also the illustrator of a children's book called Extreme Battlefields. You can pre-order this book, which goes on sale November 30th, and if you haven't read the first book in the series, The Witch's Road, then you are in luck because you can go ahead and get that book today to get ready for the sequel. All right, guys, the last mystery thriller I'll be buzzing for you lovely readers today is a biggie. Without further ado, I am so pumped to tell you about Karen M. McManus's next hit, You'll Be the Death of Me. And a combination you didn't know you needed, but boy, do you. This is Ferris Bueller's Day Off, but make it murder. Ivy, Mateo, and Cal used to be close. Now, all they have in common is Carlton High and the beginning of a very bad day. Type A Ivy lost a student council election to the class clown. Heartthrob Mateo has been working 2 jobs since his family's business failed. And outsider Cal just got stood up yet again. So when Cal pulls into campus late for class and runs into Ivy and Mateo, it seems like the perfect opportunity to turn a bad day around. They'll ditch and go into the city, just the 3 of them like old times, except they've barely left the parking lot before they run out of things to say. That is, until they spot another Carleton High student skipping school and follow him to the scene of his very own murder. I mean, Karen, come on, this is incredible. In one chance move, their day turns from dull to deadly, and it's about to get even worse. It turns out Ivy, Mateo, and Cal still have some things in common. They all have a connection to the dead classmate, and they're all hiding something. If I know one thing, it's that Karen and McManus delivers, and you will not be disappointed. Though I'll admit, you may not love waiting until November 30th to get your hands on this one. That's it for me, you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out to talk about all things thriller, mysteries, murder, and disaster. I hope you've got an overflowing TBR right now, but I also hope it has a little more room because I'm passing this back over to Josh, who has new sci-fi and fantasy must-reads lined up just for you.
Thank you so much, Caitlin, and hello again, everybody. I am so excited to take you guys through our list of upcoming fantasy and science fiction titles coming this fall. You are going to see some returns of authors that you haven't seen in a while. You're going to hear about some highly anticipated series continuations, and you're going to hear about the launch of a very new series that is really exciting. And without further ado, I will kick it off with our very first book, The Secrets of the Immortal Nicholas Flamel series, The Lost Stories collection by Michael Scott. Now, you might remember The Secrets of the Immortal Nicholas Flamel series. It started in 2007 with the first book, The Alchemist, and it told the story of two twins and their adventures with Nicholas Flamel. Now, I know you recognize that name. Nicholas Flamel was in the Harry Potter and credited with creating the Sorcerer's Stone, which granted immortality. But what you might not know is that Nicholas Flamel existed. He was born in the 1300s in Paris and was reported to have died in the 1400s, though his tomb remains empty. The Secrets of the Immortal Nicholas Flamel series recounts his life and introduces you to a lot of other characters from mythology and legend and history, and weaves together their adventures in a way that readers of historical fantasy are going to love. In the Lost Stories collection, a volume of 8 stories set in the world of this internationally best-selling series, you will discover even more about Nicholas Flamel, his wife, the sorceress Perenelle, and many other characters that we've seen throughout the series, and some that we haven't. You'll stand with the Flamels when they find the Codex, the book that holds the secret to their immortality. Follow Machiavelli under the perilous streets of Paris. Join Scatty and her twin Aoife as they journey through mysterious shadow realms. Within these pages, you will meet enemies old and new and forge alliances with characters from history, myth, and legend, all as you uncover new mysteries and discover answers to questions remaining in the original series. The Lost Stories collection contains never-seen-in-print stories featuring series favorites like Niccolo, Machiavelli, Billy the Kid, and Virginia Dare, as well as new characters like Edgar Allan Poe and St. Nicholas. As I mentioned before, these stories are based on legend, myth, and history, and every single character is from a different myth, legend, or historical event. This story excels at bringing the past alive and highlighting many cultures and beliefs that span our globe. And the series author, Michael Scott, is an authority on mythology and folklore and one of Ireland's most successful authors. The Irish Times even hailed him as the king of fantasy in these isles. All that to say, this is not one you're going to want to miss. Next up, we have Skin of the Sea. This is an unforgettable fantasy debut inspired by West African mythology, and it's best described as Children of Blood and Bone and the Gilded Ones meets The Little Mermaid. And the story is one about a mermaid who takes on the gods themselves. Simi prayed to the gods once. Now she serves them as Mama Wata, a mermaid who collects the souls of those who die at sea and blesses their journeys back home. But when a living boy is thrown overboard, Simi does the unthinkable. She saves his life, going against an ancient decree, and punishment awaits those who dare to defy it. To protect the other Mama Wata, Simi must journey to the Supreme Creator to make amends, but all is not as it seems. There's the boy she rescued, who knows more than he should, and something is shadowing Simi, something that would rather see her fail. Danger lurks at every turn, and as Simi draws closer, she must brave vengeful gods, treacherous lands, and legendary creatures. But if she doesn't, then she risks not only the fate of the Mama Wata, but also the world as she knows it. This book is inspired by author Natasha Bowen's passion for mermaids and African history. It's the perfect book for fans of authors like Tomi Adeyemi, Leigh Bardugo, and Namina Forna, or for lovers of myths and fairy tale retellings. And this book is proof that you can indeed judge a book by its cover. Next up, we have The Excalibur Curse by Kiersten White, the gripping conclusion to the acclaimed Arthurian fantasy trilogy from this New York Times bestselling author of the Andy Darkin trilogy, the Slayer series, and the Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein. This book finds Guinevere questioning everything, friends and enemies, good and evil, and most of all, herself. While journeying north toward the Dark Queen, Guinevere falls into the hands of her enemies. Behind her are Lancelot, trapped on the other side of the magical barrier they created to protect Camelot, and Arthur, who has been led away from his kingdom, chasing after false promises. But the greatest danger isn't what lies ahead of Guinevere, it's what's been buried inside her. Vowing to unravel the truth of her past with or without Merlin's help, Guinevere joins forces with the sorceress Morgana and her son, Mordred, and faces the confusing, forbidden feelings she still harbors for him. When Guinevere makes an agonizing discovery about who she is and how she came to be, she finds herself with an impossible choice: fix a terrible crime or help prevent war. Guinevere is determined to set things right, whatever the cost, to defeat a rising evil, to remake a kingdom, to undo the mistakes of the past, even if it means destroying herself. Guinevere has been a changeling, a witch, a queen, but what does it mean to just be a girl? If you are not already a fan of Kiersten White, you definitely need to fix that. Her novels are amazing, and this finale is everything you could want from her. You do not need to be a fan of King Arthur legend to love this one, though if you are, then you definitely need to go get the Guinevere Deception and the Camelot Betrayal immediately. This book is out in December, so you have time to catch up. And now I'd like to jump from fantasy into science fiction. And first up, we have Aurora's End by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. Now, Amy and Jay have legions of fans, and it's really clear why. Their books are just fantastic. You might recognize their names from the Illuminate files, which they collaborated on together, or you might recognize Jay from some of his adult novels like Nevernight, which is a fantastic book about a teenage assassin. But Aurora's End is the finale of their Aurora Cycle series, which started with Aurora Rising. And it is a hilarious and fun and action-packed and suspenseful and twisty space odyssey that you do not need to like science fiction to love. The characters in these books are ones that you're going to remember and think about, and they're going to become your best friends, and you're going to be very distraught when Jay and Amy are finished in the best way possible. Without giving too much away about this final book in the series, I will instead tell you a little bit about the first book, Aurora Rising. So the year is 2380, and the graduating cadets of Aurora Academy are being assigned their first missions. Star pupil Tyler Jones is ready to recruit the squad of his dreams, but his own boneheaded heroism sees him stuck with the dregs nobody else in the academy would touch. There's the cocky diplomat with a black belt in sarcasm, the sociopath scientist with a fondness for shooting her bunkmates, a smartass tech whiz with the galaxy's biggest chip on his shoulder, an alien warrior with anger management issues, a tomboy pilot who's totally not into him, in case you were wondering, and Ty's squad is not even the biggest problem, because that would be Aurora G. Lynn O'Malley, the girl he's just rescued from interdimensional space. Trapped in Cyrus-sleep for 2 centuries, Ori is a girl out of time and out of her depth, but she could be the catalyst that starts a war millions of years in the making. And Tyler's squad of losers, discipline cases, and misfits might just be the last hope for the entire galaxy. That is how the story begins. For those who have been reading and are eagerly awaiting this book, you will know that we have just left off with an insane cliffhanger where everything has gone wrong. This series is action-packed, it's hilarious, it's filled with characters that you are going to love and want to keep reading about. It's perfect for readers who love Veronica Roth and Marie Lu and James Dashner and Victoria Aveyard. Readers will love the cast of heartthrobs, rebels, heroes, and villains, and the combination of nonstop action, humor, and thrills will keep readers thoroughly engaged. I can't recommend this one enough. You just have to read it. And if you have not read Aurora Rising and Aurora Burning yet, you have until November 9th to do so. And last from me, but definitely not least, is Cytonic by Brandon Sanderson, out November 23rd. Now, if you don't already know who Brandon Sanderson is, then you clearly do not read science fiction and fantasy. And if you do, and you still don't know who Brandon Sanderson is, then you need to go back and read absolutely everything he's ever written. But I gather that most of you do recognize his name, whether it's from his YA anti-hero series, The Reckoners, or from his books for adults like the Mistborn trilogy and the Stormlight Archive, or maybe even the Wheel of Time series, which he completed for Robert Jordan. His books have been published in more than 35 languages and have sold millions of copies worldwide, and it's for one simple reason. He's really good at what he does. In the words of Patrick Rothfuss, he's simply a brilliant writer, period. Well, whether you're new to Sanderson or eagerly awaiting this next book in his Skyward series, I am excited to share with you Cytonic, the third book in an epic series about a girl who will travel beyond the stars to save the world she loves from destruction. Spence's life as a Defiant Defense Force pilot has been far from ordinary. She proved herself one of the best starfighters in the human enclave of Detritus, and she saved her people from extermination at the hands of the Krell, the enigmatic alien species that has been holding them captive for decades. What's more, she traveled light years from home as an undercover spy to infiltrate the Superiority, where she learned of the galaxy beyond her small, desolate planet home. Now, the Superiority, the governing galactic alliance bent on dominating all human life, has started a galaxy-wide war, and Spence has seen the weapons they plan to use to end it, the Delvers, ancient, mysterious alien forces that can wipe out entire planetary systems in an instant. Spencer knows that no matter how many pilots the DDF has, there is no defeating this predator, except that Spencer is Cytonic. She faced down a Delver and saw something eerily familiar about it, and maybe if she's able to figure out what she is, she could be more than just another pilot in this unfolding war. She could save the galaxy. The only way she can discover what she really is, though, is to leave behind all she knows and enter the nowhere, a place from which few ever return. To have courage means facing fear, and this mission is terrifying. Like the Maze Runner and the Reckoner series, this is an incredibly accessible action-adventure series, easy for readers, reluctant and not, to lose themselves in. And it's the perfect gateway to Brandon Sanderson for those of you who have not yet experienced his incredible world building and character building and writing. I can't recommend him more, and I know that you are going to love this book. And with that, I kick it over to Emma to finish this panel off with a look at some of the best middle grade books coming out this fall. Over to you, Emma.
Thanks, Josh. Hi, all. I'm super excited to share with you some of our new middle grade releases coming out. First up, we have Loteria, an exciting adventure that's steeped in mythology and magic. In the hottest hour of the hottest day in Oaxaca City, life and death walk into town, ready to begin a new game of La Loteria. In order to play, though, they need a pawn, a child whose fate will ultimately be determined by the winner of the game, a long and prosperous life or an untimely death. Once they find Clara, our protagonist, the game begins. But Clara doesn't know any of this. All she knows is that her cousin Esteban has vanished, and she'll do whatever it takes to save him, including traveling to the mythical kingdom of Las Posas in her search. And though it seems like her fate was sealed as soon as the cards were dealt, Clara might have what it takes to shatter the game and choose a new path. I don't want to share any more because I don't want to spoil the surprise, but this is a really great story for anyone who loves a little bit of magic. And this one is out September 7th, so don't miss it. Next, we have a classic series reimagined for readers who love graphic novels, Mary Pope Osborne's Magic Treehouse. These were some of my favorite books as a kid, and I'm so excited that we now have them in graphic novel form. In the night at dawn, Jack and Annie are whisked back to the Middle Ages where they're looking for a knight, but instead they find the Great Hall of a castle where a feast is underway. Unfortunately, Jack and Annie aren't exactly welcome guests. For the first time in graphic novel, you can relive the adventure again with full-color, vibrant art that brings the magic to life. This reinvention is out September 21st. Our next book comes from the author of Wonder, R.J. Palacio. Pony is about a boy on a quest to find his father, guided by a ghost and a mysterious pony. Okay. Let me try again. Our next book comes from the author of Wonder, R.J. Palacio. Pony is about a boy on a quest to find his father, guided by a ghost and a mysterious pony. This book is perfect for fans of True Grit and Warhorse, and it's an enthralling story of adventure, friendship, and the invisible bonds that connect us all. R.J. Palacio spins a harrowing yet distinctly beautiful tale about the power of love and the ties that bind us across distance and time. You definitely need to move this book to the top of your TBR. Our next middle grade must-read is The Outlaws Scarlet and Brown, the first in a new series from international bestseller Jonathan Strode. Scarlett McCain is a shoot-first, ask-questions kind of outlaw. She scrapes by on bank heists, her wit, and never looking back. She's on the run from her latest crime when she comes across Albert Brown. He's the sole survivor of a horrific accident, and against her better judgment, she agrees to guide him to safety. But this is a mistake. Soon there are men with dogs and guns and explosives hot on their heels. Scarlett's used to being chased by the law, but this is extreme. It was only a little bank that she had robbed. As they flee together across the wilds, fighting off monstrous beasts and dodging their pursuers, Scarlett comes to realize that Albert Brown is hiding a terrible secret, and that he might be the most dangerous threat of all. In this fast-paced, quick-witted whirlwind of a story, Jonathan Stroud introduces two unlikely allies, Scarlet and Brown, who are about to become the most notorious renegades in all that's left of Britain. This is such a fun read, and if you love Rick Riordan, you're going to love this book. Finally, we have a stunning new gift version of a classic, Lyra's Oxford from the His Dark Materials series. This book is a must-have for anyone who's a fan of the books or the TV show. When a witch's demon crashes onto the roof of Jordan College, Lyra and her demon, Pan, are eager to help. But as this unlikely trio scours the winding streets of Oxford in search of a famed alchemist, their journey takes a deadly turn. This edition is a must for any Pullman fan. And that's just a sampling of the awesome middle grade we have coming this fall, but I'm afraid we're out of time. Thank you so much for joining all of us, and don't forget to follow Get Underlined for any book updates. Bye!